Many individuals come to me and ask me about Miranda Rights. I wasn't read my rights, or when are they supposed to read me my rights, or what's supposed to happen with that? Miranda is a very limited concept, if you will. Miranda protects an individual who is in custody for making an incriminating statement. Custody begins when a person is not free to leave. If a police officer comes up to someone in the street and says, "Hey, do you mind if I ask you a question?" That's not custody. That's what's called an accosting. An officer in that circumstance is not required to give any kind of information or advisement about the ability to not speak to them. But once someone is in custody, once they are no longer free to leave, or a reasonable person in that circumstance would have felt they were not free to leave, that is when an officer must give the Miranda advisement if they seek to ask an incriminating question. If someone's in custody and they say, "Sir, where do you live? What's your name? What's your date of birth?" Those are not incriminating. Those are just administrative questions. If they ask, "Where's the gun? Whose drugs are these?" Well, that is designed to lead to an incriminating statement. If an officer interrogates somebody, means ask them a question that is designed to lead to an incriminating response while they're in custody, that is when Miranda is implicated. It doesn't include blurt. If a cop says or asks while in custody, "What time did you get here?" All right, the drugs are mine." That is not an incriminating question, and it's not, Miranda wouldn't help that person, mainly because the officer is not asking that question. That is considered what's called a blurt, and that would not be excluded. An exclusion is the key. If an officer obtains an incriminating statement without properly Mirandizing somebody, a skilled attorney can move to suppress that evidence. What about being Mirandized or not being Mirandized? In most instances, it makes no difference, unfortunately. In most instances, the cops don't ask anything. They're not required to read you those rights unless they're going to interrogate you. If they don't ask you any questions, then Miranda doesn't matter. If they do ask questions but nothing incriminating was said, and they didn't Mirandize you, again, it doesn't matter. Miranda does not make a case go away. All it does is it precludes any testimony or statements you may have made under the circumstances described earlier, and any what's called derivative evidence as a result of that, meaning what they found as a result of your statement. So it is very limited. It doesn't help the many people, truthfully, that don't get Mirandized, but occasionally it does matter and can make a difference when it's not properly followed and the protocol isn't followed by police.